My name is Timothy Horn. I'm here to talk about my work in the exhibition Forces of Nature in the Renwick Invitational 2020 at the Renwick Gallery of the Smithsonian American Art Museum. I grew up in the city of Melbourne in Australia. So originally I went to study sculpture. I worked in a very figurative mode, but really kind of found my voice a few years after art school. I became completely obsessed with the Baroque. I went back to school to study glass about 10 years after that initial degree. I think I had ideas of perhaps becoming like a Venetian glassblower and making exquisite goblets. But I think once I sort of found glass as material, it spoke to me in sort of more of a sculptural scale. I have two types of work in this exhibition. There are two works that are made out of sugar, and they were made originally for an exhibition in San Francisco. Talking with the curators of that museum in San Francisco, I learned that the museum was founded with money from a sugar fortune. And the patroness of the museum, she'd had a very sort of rags to riches transformation in her life, born into near poverty in San Francisco, married one of the richest men in the world. This was at the turn of the 19th century. And so I conceived of making a carriage which symbolized that Cinderella-like transformation. The second work for that exhibition was a chandelier, which was a combination of two chandeliers in the museum collection. One was a very sort of classic, refined 18th century chandelier, and the other chandelier was a 17th century and much chunkier. It was made out of solid pieces of rock crystal. And so I combined elements from both of those chandeliers and constructed a chandelier, again, which was encrusted in crystallized rock sugar. The other three works in the exhibition are made of metal and glass. And the silhouettes of those works come from 17th century patterns of jewellery, which I've blown up, made quite large. I grafted forms of natural species such as lichen and coral, and created large wall-sized sculptures using those forms. Being part of the Renwick Invitational exhibition, it's a great honour for someone who moved here 18 years ago and went to graduate school, met my partner here and decided to stay in America. The sugar works that I made were very much tied into that sort of Cinderella story, which has a sort of a personal element for me as a gay man also. The more recent works that are made from metal and glass were really inspired by a trip back to Australia in 2008. When I visited the Great Barrier Reef and took my partner. It was his first visit to Australia. This work, in a sense, there's something skeletal, precious in a sort of reliquary kind of way for me with these works. I was completely enthralled as a child viewing coral and fish. And this time going back as an adult, I had the opportunity to go snorkeling with my partner and again kind of rediscover this magical world of corals. We also managed to see while we were there the first series of coral bleachings that were taking place due to climate change. It was a sort of a bittersweet return to Australia at that time to see, to enjoy obviously being there, but also to be seeing the reef experiencing stress and duress.